Welcome, Payal ma'am, to the episode of Spree Talks from CSPRE, a platform where we live, learn, and learn psychology. So, in this podcast, I, Radhika Arora, will be the host for today's podcast, where we talk about psychology and mental health. For our episode, we have Payal Gore, a beacon of inspiration in the world of sports psychology. Welcome, Payal ma'am.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me over here.
We are absolutely thrilled to have you, ma'am. Now, before we dive into our discussion, let's start with your educational journey. Can you describe the key milestones that led you to become a sports psychologist?
Yeah. When we talk about my academics, I started with my bachelor's in psychology from Pune University. Then, after I completed my master's in sports psychology from Liverpool John Moores University, that's in UK. And currently, I'm pursuing my CPAR route. So, that is like after master's course from British Association of Sports Exercise Sciences itself. So this was my, I can say, academic journey. Of course, on the way, the key milestones I will say was uh, first getting admitted to the university abroad. And then another one was like, when you actually start applying your research, applying your learnings and theories. That was my major milestone, my first internship, where I started practicing under supervision and, started to get to know that, yeah, whatever theories you are learning are not something that you can definitely just copy paste into your practice. You have to twist it, turn it, and also have to learn more about it while applying it to the practice. So that was my major milestone in my academic journey, I will say.
Okay, that's fascinating, ma'am. Your dedication to empowering others shine through in everything you do. What inspired you to pursue a career in sports psychology?
So the reason that I am a sports psychologist right now will be my sports journey because I'm a national level player myself. I come from a big sporting background. Everyone in my family is crazy about sports, have themselves been at some level representing city, representing country as well. So my uncle attempted for Guinness record. So everyone in my family is about sports. And while practicing, I had all the facilities, all the physical facilities that is required. But somewhere or the other, the psychological aspect was missing, which was causing me a lot of trouble in increasing my performance or securing those spots on the podium. So that time, while doing psychology in my undergrad, I discovered that sports psychology branch and started pursuing it more.
That's great, ma'am. So, are there any specific licenses or certifications required to practice as a sports psychologist? If so, what is the process to obtain them?
So yeah, definitely there are. Like there is a route that you have to follow to be a sports psychologist. In India, it is developing. So for sure, you required a master's in sports psychology at least. And then if you're talking abroad, and it depends on every country. So like I myself have done it from UK. So after when you complete your masters, you still have to complete the after graduation course that in my case I'm completing my CPAR, so from with British Association of Sports Exercise Sciences. So you still have to be accredited with that, and then you have to complete your registrations and license. So yes, with every country it differs, and when we talk particularly about India, at least minimum of masters in sports psychology is needed.
Okay, so, ma'am, what type of athletes or teams do you usually work with, and how do their needs differ?
Like I will say, I personally believe that every human, every individual is different. I really respect that uniqueness in every individual. Even if I'm dealing with individual two players from individual sports, they will be having different needs. And when we talk about sports together, so like there are different types of sports, individual sports, team sports, and again after that there will be like special athletes. So when it comes to like let's say female issues like menstruation, and then again there will be para athletes. So currently I am dealing with all the four factors, that will be individual athletes, and then the team athletes. I'm also working with para athletes and female athletes. Female athletes is one of very close to me because being in sports myself, I was facing a lot of issues when it comes to menstruation. So that is one I am trying to specialize in. But considering what are the different factors in them, so when we talk about individual sports, it's more about, like if it's the elite athletes, securing the position, and then, like being on that elite level, constant pressure of performing. And when we talk about team sports, it's all about team dynamics, the team bond that has to be increased, the communication again. If you talk about para athletes, it's so much different than everyone else because they have their own journey. They have a lot of pressure. They have to feel inclusive again. And then women, considering that they have their own issues which no man has faced, that is an additional obstacle when it comes to the sports journey. So every athlete is different, every journey is different, and it needs to be dealt, closely according to their needs. So you can't really assume like what are their needs by yourself.
Yes, that's incredibly insightful, ma'am. Your commitment to personalized care and holistic well-being is truly commendable. What are some common mental health problems that athletes face? When you are helping them to overcome these issues to optimize their performance, do you typically work in a personal space or involve team members and coaches?
Well, that is actually a good question. Like, it involves really different factors. So, to start answering bit by bit, I will say yes. The common factors when we see in Indian population will be a lot of anxiety, because like when we see our culture, we are expected to be good in almost all the fields that we step in. So, for example, if I am into sports and I'm still in education, I will be expected to excel in my academia at the same time in my sports. And also, if I'm doing any other extracurricular activity. So, that constant pressure to generate results, anxiety is one of the very common factor, I will say. Uh, and dealing with, if I don't mind, can you repeat the last question again, the last part of the question?
Yes, ma'am. When are you helping them? So, do you typically work in a personal space or involve team members and coaches?
Yeah. So again, this depends. So if I'm working with individual athlete, okay, so I might not need to involve the other people more, but I won't say that I have to really omit them, because at times there can be things like, let's say if it's parents that the athlete is getting, concerned by, or it's the coach communication that is being weak. So I will try my best to be with that athlete first, because I want to respect his, like the trust that he has on me, confidentiality. But if it is not something is going to be resolved easily, and if it is easy to, like talk to the other two stakeholders, that will be parents and coach, then I will try to get them in the session as well. And if I'm working with a team, I will say, like, conducting workshops or group sessions is way easier, because you see, when it is a team session, when it's a team sports, most of them are going through the same issue. And instead of, personalizing it, try to generalize it at a certain extent, and then after that, you can take the individual sessions. It gets a lot more easier, and you also try to put all the players on the same page, some way or the other. Of course, they're not going to be there on the same page for a very long time, but at least they come together, and this also increases the team bond when it's a group session. So I will say it depends on the player, the concern that they are having, and if there is any requirement of, trying to get other stakeholders in the session, or if I have to conduct a group session for them.
And how do you build trust and rapport formations with the athletes?
That is actually something very important, and I always really see towards that. I give enough time for the athlete to have that trust, for him or her to trust me and open up with me. It's not easy. Like, if a person comes, if an athlete come, like in the very first session, he or she is not going to trust me or believe me, because many people believe or have that somewhere of the back in the mind that whenever sports psychologist is working with us, she's going to convey all our secrets to the authority, no matter if it is parents or if it is the club. So I always try to give enough time during the sessions that athletes really start trusting me. And there are very simple tools and techniques that you can use. It's like active listening, telling them about the ethics, your professional philosophy, that what way do you operate, and then also like trying to empathize with them, trying to understand where they come from. If you follow the small soft techniques, it gets a lot easier. But I will say giving them the enough time is always the key.
We often hear phrases like go with the flow or stay in the zone in the sports. How do you help athletes maintain such focus and improve their mental resilience during games?
Well, it's very easy to say, stay in the zone, go with the flow, but it's not easily done. It's easily said, but not easily done. For that, you should really be practicing. You have to do this from a very long time. You should also follow the same things while training, and for that, there are different techniques like, being present in the moment, then mindfulness breathing, then visualization, like trying to visualize yourself in that position, in that situation, then having a positive self talk. These are small different techniques. But again, you can't, it's very rare that you will be able to apply it directly during the competition or during the game. And to make it possible, you have to start practicing this on and off the field from the very long time when you're practicing. So, yeah.
Yes, true, ma'am. And how do you help athletes relieve the pressure they often get from their fans, coaches, or even themselves, which might hinder their performance? And has this kind of pressure ever proved to be beneficial?
Well, yeah, pressure can be beneficial at a certain extent. I will come back to that again. And when to deal with this situation, communication is always the key. If you are always communicating properly with your, if I'm a coach, if I'm able to convey all my uh, expectations, my goals, my what I can say, training routine to the athlete properly, the athlete might not be that pressurized. The same with the parents, and the same goes to the athlete as well. So if there's a proper communication between them, even if it is a game, communication is always the key. Try to speak out loud that what are you going through, what are your feelings, what are your expectations, and this really eases the tension between that dynamic, that whatever dynamics you are having, if it's a team dynamic, if it's a athlete parent coach, and so on. So communication, I will say, is the key. And saying about, is this beneficial, is this anxiety pressure beneficial? At a certain extent, yes. If you have pressure, you tend to focus, you tend to concentrate. And also when you have a bit pressure external, like that push in a positive way, if you're taking it in a positive way, again, it's also on how you take it. If the athlete is taking it in a positive way, that can help him to set his goals properly, work towards them also, like it will also help them to maintain that focus and concentration power, because there is a extra push and there is extra pressure. But it's again the amount and how the athlete is able to take it. So, yeah.
I'm sure there are times when players clash or have conflicts during practices. How do you help them effectively to deal with such situations?
It's very difficult to to, like, if it is happening on the pitch, on the ground, because that time everybody is just having their own mindset and their own way of thinking. But if you start dealing with this way before, by having the role plays, like, I bet every psychology student know what a role play is. So, like, when you start having those, if you create those situations during the workshops, if you create those situations, so, like, for them as a homework, let's say, like, let ask them to start writing the diary reflection, journal writing, and give them a situation where you put them saying that, let's say, like, it's a football game, and one of your player is not missed the defense, and ultimately goalkeeper also missed it, and now the goal has been done. Now, so like, yeah, the other team like just scored, and this is all because of two players' fault, and now the whole team has to go through it. So as a team, what will you do? How will you react in this situation? Put them in a like situation, give them few questions or directions to start thinking. Let's say, like, how will you react in this situation? Like, what will be your next step towards it? Then if you are on the verge of losing, then what will be your, like, instant reaction? Like, are you gonna react? Are you gonna shout at the player? Are you gonna, support him, or what? And ask them to be true, very true to it, like true to themselves. And like, if you start putting them in this situation, if they know, if they've already thought about this, then at that time when they are in the game, this will ease down, because they know that they have already thought about this, they have already went through this. And then at that time it will be a lot easier, and might be more supportive towards they might be more supportive towards each other, and can also result in a good like result at the end. They might win the game after that. So I will say, try to put them in the situations well before it happens.
What do you find most rewarding or fulfilling as a sports psychologist? Do you have any success stories that you would like to share with us?
So what is more rewarding is, like, as I said, like, I was a sportsman myself, and of course every sportsman has this dream that he or she wants to represent the country. Like, that's the ultimate goal for any sportsman. And I feel like if it wasn't me, I'm still trying to help many others to be at that position. And when I see any small victories, I feel really happy for them, and also for myself, because I am, like, some or the other way part of it. So that is very rewarding, because like, you're not only like a part of one story but many others. And one success story that I would like to share was like, you know uh, it's not always about the medals as well. So once, when I was trying to support rugby players, and I just was newly joined, and this rugby team, one of them was facing very severe issues, and the coach came and said, like, this particular girl, is trying to harm herself, and like, she already had a few episodes of it before, and she's gonna try to do it again, because the situations are somewhat like that, and I want you to go and confront her before this starts happening. And I was not very comfortable to go and just say out loud that I know that you are facing something like this, and you have to come and talk to me about this, because this shows that whatever is happening to her has been discussed outside. So I never wanted to make her feel that I don't wanted to, like, her to be in the situation where a negatives, I won't say negative, but her vulnerable side is shown to me already before she starts speaking to me. So like, there was a very less time that I had to build my rapport and gain her trust, and directly jump to the topic to start resolving it. So like, within, like, I think within 15 minutes of session, she jumped to that topic, and I was really happy. And that was kind of success for me, where like, I didn't had to dwell, and or I had to spend many sessions with her to come to that topic, because we didn't had that much time. It was very severe, and we had to get it going. If not her, I had to, at the end of the session, go and start talking to her, saying that this is the situation, and I didn't want it to be in that situation at all. So that was kind of success to, where I gained her trust, and she was able to open up to me within 15 minutes of the session.
Do you think that the approaches you use as a sports psychologist could be applied for other areas of life?
Yes, like, there are so many areas. Like, when you learn about any branch of psychology, I'm very sure that you are able to practice it in your daily life. Let's talk about, like, small, like very small, like when you start with any sports, anything, you have this goal setting done with your sports psychologist. And the goal setting that we do, you can apply it in your daily life in any goal that you want to achieve. Or let's say, like when you're trying to concentrate, you're trying to, like help an athlete to build the motivation. Like, do you require motivation just for, like winning medals? No, you need motivation. Even I will be needing motivation to get up in the morning. I will be needing motivation to follow my diet routine. Or let's say, like at school, I need motivation to study. I need motivation to, like to be there on the desk trying to revise the chapters for the exam. Because come on, not everybody wants to read, wants to learn, but you need to be there, focused, concentrated. So definitely there are so many aspects in sports psychology that you can take back to your daily life and use it, and also like achieve lots of things that you want to.
Now let's move on to the questions from our audience. Our viewers are interested in knowing a bit about your background and journey. What made you to take an interest in working with athletes?
So as I said, like my background comes from complete sports family. Like nobody ever stopped me from, practicing any sports. In my life, I have done shot put, discus, karate, equestrian, rifle shooting. There was no restrictions when it comes to sports in my family. And like yeah, while pursuing this, I was introduced to many other sports professions: physiotherapy, dietitian, coaches, assistant coach, strength and conditioning, but never really a sports psychologist. And no one took care of my psychological health, mental health, and which I needed the most. Trust me, like I needed this the most while pursuing psychology. I discovered the sports psychology branch, and then I started, like researching more. And I think it is all through my personal needs and experiences. I can say that I started working, like from sports psychology, like to be a sports psychologist, and like you being in sports and helping other athletes. Yeah, that's the most happiest thing that you can like, yeah, like think for you. What else you want to like pray for? So yeah.
The notion of sports psychology can be a bit blurry for some of our viewers. Could you shed some light on your role as a sports psychologist and the impact it creates?
Yeah. So as I said, like it's a very big thing, and I always try to explain sports psychology and sports psychologist in this way. Like, like the sports psychology takes row A, and sports psychologist might take row Z. But sports psychology is always present in every sports, in every um, at every level the athlete plays. No matter if it is he is like, just like a grassroots, or he's elite, or he's retired. If you don't respect sports psychologist, but you still unknowingly respect and know sports psychology. So as a sports psychologist, I operate to increase the performance and mental well-being of athlete and other stakeholders. Why I say other stakeholders as well? Because parents, I work with parents as well, for like being athlete parent, then with coaches, also with other sports professions, for the for optimizing for that good and positive environment, sports environment. So yeah, and also like if you consider like sports psychologist, there is not only like a sports psychologist who's going to be on field. There's going to be a sports psychologist who is of the field, who's doing research, because of course like sports psychology is all scientific. It's not something that is only like a motivational talk. It's all based on proper science research. It's reliable, validated. So there are sports psychologists who are off field doing research, like, and then there is also like sports psychologists, like who are in academia, who are professors. So you can choose for yourself like which section you want to be in. Do you want to be on field in the research background, or you want to be in the universities, where you are molding the aspirant, like aspiring sports psychologists. So yeah.
Have you heard what advice would you like to give to the consider career in a sports psychology?
So the people who are trying to, like pursue sports psychology, please don't hesitate to get in touch with all the sports psychologists around you. The sports psychology community in India is very loving and very helpful. I can like vouch on that. And one thing that I will like one piece of advice that I want to give you is like never stop learning. This field is so big and so quickly evolving that every day you will find some of the other research, some of the other way technique, and so other way of practice. So I will say keep learning. Don't stop yourself. It's a very continuous, like continuously changing field. So yeah, be open to new research, to new techniques, to new learnings.
Any misconceptions that you have heard about your field that you feel need to be deflated?
It's a motivational talk. It's just for elite players. It's nothing to do with, like psychology. It's all only for athletes who have mental issues and so on. I can just go on. Like, these are the very basic ones. They can read minds. They are going to just, tell our all secrets to the authorities. No, like, really, no. Sports psychologists have some ethics, have boundaries. They are bounded. They can't really just go and open up or tell your secrets to anyone. So please don't consider that. Sports psychology is not only for grassroots players. It starts, sorry, for elite players. It starts from grassroots players to also the ones who have already retired. You know, like most of the sports psychologists have a philosophy where they support you holistically. Even like from the time you have chosen the sports to the time when you have retired, all the transition periods in between, like going for junior to senior, you to the open, all the levels, like from like district to national, international, we are there for you. And also, like, it is not a motivational talk. It is completely based on science, as I just said. It is all researched, reliable, and validated. So there are many different misconceptions, and if you ever have any misconception in future, don't hesitate to put it on Google, or really just approach any sports psychologist nearby, ask them a question, and get your query sorted. Don't just find out an answer by yourself and assuming that this is the answer. Go and cross check. There might be many different ways that a sports psychologist can help you, and is not just a myth. Yeah.
Mm, that's true, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. It's been incredibly enlightening. Would you like to add anything for our audience, for our aspiring psychologist or sports psychologist?
So yeah, as I said, this is a very big field, very upcoming. Many people have started realizing that how important sports psychology is. Not only psychology, but I don't know if I should be thanking COVID that it has spread awareness about mental health. People have started, like respecting boundaries, like the um, thoughts, and you're considering each other emotionally. So moving forward, let's there is a big market in India for sports psychology. Consider that, study properly, don't hold yourself back, and please have a mentor of your own. And don't, like, always follow self-care and self-compassion. You are of course carers, but you also need care. So prioritize yourself first, like prioritize yourself as well. If you are well, if you are in a position, to like love yourself, and then only then you can again pass that down. So be very like loving to yourself, and have a nice self-care routine as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. It's been incredibly enlightening. And that concludes another thought provoking episode of Spree Talks from CSP. Thank you for joining us, and be sure to tune in next time as we continue to exploration of psychology and mental well-being. Until then, live, learn, and love psychology.